All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special treat for you tonight. We got Coach John Cooper, coach of the Tennessee State men basketball Tigers. Nice to meet you.
Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you. Nice to come out here. First off, I have to apologize. And the reason why I have to apologize is that I didn't realize how good the team had gotten and the progressive that they've made. And the record's deceiving, so don't kid yourself. They're looking good. The beginning of the season looked a little rough, but when you first came on the map with me was when I saw you do an interview. I don't know if it was on Channel, I think it was Channel 5, after the Austin Peay game. Okay. And I was like, wow, they're tied for first place? I'm interested. Let's see what's going on here. Right. And one question that I really wanted to ask you, and this is what I've been wanting to ask you. I'm glad I'm doing what I'm doing now. I can be able to ask this question
and get the direct answer.
And get the direct answer from the horse's mouth. Okay, I have sons, 14 and 11. My 11-year-old, he eat, sleep, breathe basketball. I coach his team, and he's pretty good. Okay, tell me, as a head coach of one of the athletics at TSU University, Tennessee State University, why don't my son have posters of TSU all around his room?
Well, I mean, I would tell you, let me attack it in this way. Obviously, I've been living here in Nashville now about a year and a half since I took over the program here. And I think that can be attributed to a couple of things. I think one is, the message of, who we are, what's going on, is not all the way out there. And you can look at, like you said yourself, that, here we are in the city, and you see, when I'm doing an interview and realize that, we're tied for first, which currently now we're tied for second. But, I think one is there has to be an identity. Secondly, I always say, it's always great when we can get kids to our games, get kids on our campus, because I think then you start familiarizing yourself with the program. You start knowing who the players are and all those different things. And so now you have a vested interest in it. But, it's in our case, the way that we're going to continue to get better is that as we start affecting the younger kids, especially your son's age, 10, 11, and those kids, they go up, because then it's okay and it's cool to come to and play for TSU. And, if you go back to the olden days and the guys that played back here, in Coach McClendon's days and even up, those guys would tell you, TSU, I mean, that was a place in the way they knew it. That's where they wanted to be. And to a certain degree, it's changed. It's changed just because there's more schools. Now you can television, you name it, money and everything else. But I think we have a product here that is that I think the community should be proud of. We have good kids, first and foremost.
Good. I've heard. Yeah.
In the right direction, in the right way, I should say. And our guys understand. It's one of the things that I'm not going to bend on. We've got to have character first and foremost. We may not have the most talent, but you can overcome that if you have people that have character, that are bought in and want to do things the right way.
Now, the reason why I asked that question, because me being originally from Chicago, I still haven't forgiven Isaiah Thomas for not going to DePaul and going to Indiana. I still haven't forgiven Mark McGuire playing for the Detroit Pistons, even though that was a professional decision. But that's my ties to DePaul.
Right.
And kids in Chicago in that area, they still with Ray Myers and those guys, especially back in those days.
Well, yeah, it was what you grew up and that's what you wanted to be. I mean, we've got 3 kids on our team from Chicago, and so
that's a good spot to get basketball players from.
We have Robert Covington, who last year was a freshman who was runner-up for Newcomer of the Year. We have a young man that starts for his latest minutes played by the name of Patrick Miller, and Pat came from Hales Franciscan, and he's going to be in the running for Newcomer of the Year also.
Good. He's starting young, I see.
Well, yeah, and we've been fortunate. We have a young man sitting out by the name of Kellen Thornton, who transferred here from Illinois State. So we've got 3 Chicago kids, and they're starting to say that this is the old Chicago.
All right,
well,
listen, that's how you start. You have to branch out. It just, like I said about TSU, let me give you an example, the difference in size. I mean, there's probably more people in Chicago than it is in the state of Tennessee. And I think that it'll be easier here to sell your product to the younger kids. That's where you have to start.
Right.
You have to make people fans of your product, whatever you're coaching,
at
an early age.
Right.
You have to. Then they grow. Like the Titans here in Tennessee, here in Nashville, they have a fan base that's been with them since they were 10, 11, 12 years old. And my sons, my son in particular, his favorite basketball player is Derrick Rose. He picked him up from when he was playing at Memphis. Now, University of Memphis was way there, but then he picked up on him instead of picking up on a guy. Now, I know there's two different levels of program, not down to TSU or anything like that. There's just a different level, and especially at that time, they were playing for Final Four of the national championship. So it's easier for a kid because they're on television a little bit more. But like you said, we have to get the word out that Tennessee State has a good product and a good young coach. I don't think people realize how young you are. One, I
guess that's relative.
Right. And I don't think people realize your extensive background. I don't think they know that. I don't really believe they know what they have on their hands here.
Well, I mean, this is, I think this is my 17th year. I'm starting to lose track of years. But, I came here, I was associate head coach at Auburn University when this opportunity came my way. And, there were a lot of people, a lot of my friends in the industry, a lot of people I know who thought I was crazy to leave the SEC. I'd been an assistant in the SEC combined.
You're one of my favorites.
About 12 years.
You actually played for one of my favorites. So, actually, my favorite SEC coach of all time. You played for him and you coached under him.
Coach Fogler, I'm sure Eddie, we're talking about. Well, we'll come back to him.
Yes.
But it was. I thought there were some things here that maybe some people didn't realize were in place that I thought could be some strengths, and that we could build it and take this thing back to the areas maybe that it had been once before. And so, I decided to take the plunge, as they say, and here we are. We're sitting here my second year, and right now we're tied for second and 7-4 in the league. If you would have told me last year that we would be 7-4 at this time, then I don't know if I would have believed that. So to a certain degree, we have our progression has been a little bit quicker than even what I suspected. And we're going back to the start of the year. We start the year with. We had 2 injuries, one injury the first game and 1 injury a week before the game. So we had 7 scholarship players. Then we lost a kid for a game. We were down to 6 scholarship players and playing walk-ons.
Right.
Right now we only have 9 scholarship players, but one of them is hurt. So 8. So we're down 8, and we have 4 guys sitting out. So we're still not playing with a full group. But what we have been able to do is it's about the culture. We've been able to change the culture and get our guys from an expectation standpoint expecting to win. And that's a big thing to do because, anytime you've had losing going on for so long, you got to try to change the culture. But so it's been a fun process. And, and speaking of Eddie, I mean, I talk to, as I call him, Fogues. I talk to him
Coach
on numerous occasions every week. I mean, Eddie's like a somewhat of a dad to me. I've been knowing Fogues now since I was 16 years of age. In fact, I think he called me last night, so I think he's going to probably come to our game on Saturday. So I talk to Eddie probably 3 or 4 times a week. So we're very close. He's very close to my parents, my dad, my family, my mom who passed, who was very close to my mom. And so Eddie knows all of my family, and, he recruited me when I was coming up in Kansas City, played for him, Wichita State, then he left, and to Vanderbilt. Then when I finished playing, I joined his staff. Well, actually, I coached for 2 years, and he got an opening. I joined his staff at South Carolina. So.
Right. Yeah, hey, listen, the people here in Nashville or around the country don't realize what Eddie Fogler did with Vanderbilt and then what he did with South Carolina was spectacular. Right. And I believe you were on the staff.
I was.
You were on the staff then with him.
It's funny, I had one of my buddies tell me, he was talking about Eddie and Eddie being respected. And so obviously I know him different. I say Eddie now, Coach Fogues. I played for him. I didn't say Eddie then, but they're right, exactly. They're you're not. There aren't a lot of people around that are 2-time national coaches of the year. And he's been, and twice. That happened, and he did it in a very short time. He was a guy that did not want to do it forever and ever. Knew he wanted to do some other things, and and got in, and the going was good and had some success. One of the things I think you'll hear people say about Eddie all the time is that he's a straight shooter and integrity. He's not going to beat around. Like he's just going to, this is it. And so you don't have to worry about if there's a hidden agenda or anything. And he's very, very well respected within the coaching circles. And, of course, now he does some TV, and he also is doing coaching searches and everything else. So he's still around the game.
Right.
His son, Ben, will be attending Vanderbilt not this coming year, but the next year on a golf scholarship. His son Ben is a very good golfer, and his daughter Emma is about to get married this summer. So I certainly stay in touch with him.
That's good. That's good. And I was curious about that. I was doing my homework, and I realized that you not only played for him at Wichita State, that you actually coached with him as long as you did. And that's why when I first came in and I'm teasing you, I'm like, man, you're a pretty young guy, but you've been quite a few places, and you have to have a strong family to support such a move, such a zigzag across the country. I mean, going from Oregon to Auburn, culture clash. I mean,
it was.
How was it? How was it in Oregon?